Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome back to another StarCraft 2 replay cast. This is your host, Overmind, and today we're going to be taking a look at a PvP from a league. I don't know which one, unfortunately. When I open this replay, I don't get the standard loading screen. I have to log out and do a bunch of other stuff. It's actually fine, though, because this is going to be a mystery game, and it's a mystery both because I don't know what league these players are in, but also because I haven't seen how this game ends. I've seen the first couple minutes to try and do a little bit of sound balancing and other stuff like that, but I don't know what happens really. So, hopefully lots of surprises for you and me, but before we get too involved in that, let's go ahead and talk about our players. Spawning down on the bottom left side of Deadwing Ladder Edition, in an appropriate red color, we have our first Protoss player representing Vortex Esports. It is Heat! And spawning up at the top right side of our map, spawning across on this particular occasion, we have our other Protoss player, also from Vortex Esports. It is Xzion, who is sporting the lovely and wonderful pink color on his Nexus here. I do enjoy seeing people use sort of odd custom colors in their games, so happy to see that get some use. At this point, both players looking pretty even. We have pretty similar warp gate research timings. We have a scout over here for Heat. He's going to see that Xzion has made a zealot. Over here we have a scout from Xzion in Heat's base. And first blood, but that probe did gather some valuable information, notably that there's a mothership core, which of course is great as a defensive unit. Looks like both players warping in Twilight Councils, which of course are quite good for things like DTs and high-tech units, but also for the upgrades. This zealot here, bravely charging around the map, he has vowed to kill that scouting probe, and indeed he accomplished his goal. Xzion actually just going to go ahead and take his natural expansion, looking forward to a nice long macro game. However, this is not always in the cards. This zealot is actually about to see that he has units coming across the map. Decides not to engage since there is a mothership core, and zealots are amazingly bad against units that are in the air. And this is a very tense moment because anytime there's units at your natural expansion poking about, it's a problem and you definitely want to be able to solve it quickly. Xzion, of course, responding with a stalker and a zealot. Looks like it's going to be enough to sort of shoo these units away, but there is a pylon coming up. There are going to be additional units coming in. And this pylon, of course, is warping in the most picturesque place on the map, right next to a glory candle. Blink research coming up for both players. Additional stalkers warping in over here for Heat. He's going to continue to put this pressure on. Xzion, I believe, only has one gateway at this point. He's adding on 3 additional gateways, but I don't think he can really compete with this at this point. We do have a mothership core hiding around up here, but unfortunately only 85 energy, not enough for a photon overcharge. We do need 100 for that. I believe this will fall before we can adequately overcharge to scare away all of these units. And of course, more units are coming in every second for Heat. Xzion does have the presence of mind to warp in a sentry, which of course is great for force fielding ramps, although, since both players have Blink coming up very shortly, that may or may not actually wind up helping as much as you would hope. Heat retreats back to gather the rest of his units, and then heads back for the attack. And this sentry is so ready. He's so ready to force field this ramp. He's got it. He knows exactly what he needs to do. Looks like Heat's going to go ahead and add on a robo, which of course is something that is necessary for things like DTs. You definitely want to have the detection and the mobility from something like an observer. So that is a very solid choice in most games, especially in PvP. Additional stalkers warping in for Xzion because he has completed those 3 additional gateways. I believe he should be able to hold this off, especially if Heat waits another moment or two to head up the ramp. We have stalkers positioned on the right side of the ramp over here for Xzion. Going to be able to take a few pot shots, I believe, if anything decides to come up the ramp. Now we have the standoff, more units coming in for Xzion. The sentry is so ready to force field. One stalker does come down and try and peck away at this sentry. And, oh, a very near pickoff. That one blink saved it. Now we have an awkward moment, a who will win in this fight moment. This might actually be a shorter game than I had anticipated. I think at this point Xzion has the bigger army. Both armies have Blink. We have a couple sentries here, but force fields won't be nearly as useful against armies with Blink. Here we have the Oracle, hallucinated Oracle for the Scout, and there's the recall. He gives off the pressure, he stops, he heads back home. During all this, he's been expanding. He's added on not one, but 2 Stargates, which of course are also great buildings because they make Void Rays, and Void Rays are good versus everything in the Protoss army because they get bonus damage to armored. We are seeing a Void Ray coming up as we speak. Heat beginning to saturate this base, build on additional pylons, make high-tech units. All that early harassment did help him out a good deal. These pylons are being killed off by Xzion, who can now go ahead and expand again, or head across the map and add some pressure of his own. Back here we do see a decent number of gateways. I actually want to go to the Structures tab. We see that Heat has, of course, the 2 Stargates, the Robo, the Twilight Council, so all the tech trees, and 3 gateways. We have 6 gateways off of 1 base here for Xzion, and it looks like he's actually looking to use them. We do have a pylon coming in over there. The armies are getting ready to engage each other. Looks like Xzion does force a photon overcharge, picks off his zealot, heads back, backs up. He definitely doesn't want to fight in the overcharge if he doesn't have to, but he does have sort of a time contingency on this. He wants to do some damage before he's too far behind. Right now he's not expanding, and that of course means that he's getting behind economically. If he can't do enough damage here, then he will be behind for the rest of the game. So hopefully he can make something happen here. We do see him swinging around, perhaps to attack the rocks here, because you can get into the base that way as well. Maybe trying to put some pressure on from both sides, possibly looking for the blink up. And there it is, the blink into the base. We do have a focus on the Stargate. Oh, definitely. Oh, no, not killing the Stargate. Decides to focus on a Void Ray. Almost gets it. Very narrowly doesn't. We have a Time Warp going down. Lots of Blink Micro going on. Very good Blink Micro from Xzion. I actually don't know if Heat has enough to hold this off. We did see the Mothership Core go down for Xzion, which of course is tragic because it's incredibly good for both defense and for its offensive spells, things like the slow that it does, Time Warp. We do have the blink out of the base. In the Units Lost tab, we can see that both players are so close. They're just about dead even. We see this army swinging back around towards the natural, still trying to pick off that pylon. We do have a Void Ray down. We do have a Zealot killed off. Pylon does go down. Might get this assimilator, might well kill off this expansion, which of course would be quite good for Xzion, because he does not have an expansion himself. Does kill off the expansion. This is a tough spot. Might even get this Stargate. Stargates, of course, being quite valuable because you need to make units from them. We do have one additional Stargate if we need. Xzion retreats back home. This may well have been worth it for him, actually, now that we have that expansion down. Here we have an engagement. We do have Prismatic Alignment activated, doing the additional bonus damage versus Armored, which of course is all of this army. We have the retreat away. Xzion looking like he might decide to engage now that that Prismatic Alignment has worn off. Heat moving back. Doesn't want to lose those Void Rays if he doesn't have to. 2 of them are so low. And there we are, there we are. Alright, he's re-expanding. He's going to try and recover from this. He's going to try and get that macro back. Do have a Zealot pick-off. Do have lots of Stalkers coming back in. Prismatic Alignment available once again. Lots of Blink Micro from Xzion. 1 Void Ray falls, 2 Void Rays fall, 3 Void Rays down. We do have an Immortal there, which is very strong, but unfortunately does not live up to his name, as he does die as well. Heat blinks back into his base. Xzion decides to retreat. Xzion changes his mind, and rightly so, because this base is not currently defended. We do have an additional Void Ray here now. Xzion blinking away, Xzion coming back for the attack. Photon Overcharge is activated. I don't know if Xzion notices it or not. He was pretty focused on killing that Void Ray. Looks like we do have him backing up once again. This pylon is still here, so that he can warp in additional units. We still don't have an expansion from him, though. So at the moment, Heat is technically up on more bases. However, back at home, we can see this is starting to get mined out. Similarly, over here, we can see this is starting to get mined out. Both players really want an expansion up soonish. Xzion, of course, is broke at this point because he's running 6 gateways off of 1 base, which does not work. That's way too many gateways. Xzion circling like a shark, waiting for the attack, hoping for the kill. Photon Overcharge is worn off. He's killed off that assimilator. We do have 10 probes mining from this base, though. 1 killed off. We have additional warp-ins from Heat. Wants to defend this base. Prismatic alignment is active. Couple picks off. Down to 7 probes, but that's okay. Because these are the only units that anyone has mining at any expansion. We did see a very nice Void Ray pick off there from Xzion. Very nice Zealot pick off. Any pickoffs you can get is really a good thing as long as you don't lose too many units getting there. And of course, Blinkstalkers are great for things like microing in and out, picking off a single unit or 2. Microing back like this, just let the damage units not die. We have Heat doing some awesome Blink Micro as well. You can see him doing that more and more as more of his high-tech units fall. We see the GG from Xzion. Xzion, unfortunately, is just too mined out. He did not macro behind this. He did not do enough damage with this attack. Heat defended beautifully and managed to pull in the victory. So good job to both of our players. Thank you so much for submitting, you guys. It's always fun watching these. For anyone out there who enjoyed this game and wants to see me cast one of their games, go ahead and send it to NoobCrafted@gmail.com. I would be most appreciative of that. Anyone who just wants to lurk, go ahead and subscribe or follow me on Twitter. That's totally okay as well. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the ladder.